Hey everybody, it's Trigger Bar Philosopher. Welcome back out to the channel. Today we got an exciting episode. We're going to be continuing another look at the Ruger LC Carbine, chambered in 45 ACP, well, rechambered in 460 Rowland. Should be a good time. Let's get to shooting. Okay, well today we've got the Ruger LC Carbine back out to the range. I've been doing even more and more polishing work on it, so I just want to check again, function with it. So we've got some 45 ammo, ACP ammo with it. Before we get too crazy with 460 Rowland and maybe some 45 Super, I want to try it out and see how it acts suppressed. So we're going to be trying some 45 ACP rounds suppressed. 45 ACP is a great round for a suppressor because it's naturally subsonic, even out of a 16-inch barrel. So we're going to be just shooting at some targets, not too far down range, checking form, checking function, see how it works with the suppressor. Should be a good time. Let's get to shooting. Okay, we've got some 45 ACP with some 230 grain Lawman, just some regular round nose, full metal jacket, just to get us kick started and doing some shooting. All right, just a few rounds down range. Why don't we attach the suppressor theme? All right, well, what we have here is some more of that Spear Lawman 230 grain ball round, 45 ACP. We've got at the end of it, we have our Dead Air Primal, 45 caliber. I think it's actually 46 caliber suppressor on it. We're mounting it with a cherry bomb muzzle brake for the Plan B adapter, and then I have a Rearden adapter for this suppressor on it. For those of you who are into suppressors, that may mean something. If you're not, when you're getting into suppressors, look up those terms and ask me some questions. All right, well, let's try it out. It's the first rounds. See if we get a baffle strike. Seemed to work just fine. Okay, let's pause it there. I just want to do a quick test, see if the suppressor is staying on tight. Sometimes with suppressors, especially the first times you mount them, you just want to make sure that they're staying there and that it's not unwinding, because that can lead to baffle strikes, meaning the round can hit the internal baffles of the suppressor if the alignment isn't perfect. Now, I tested this with an alignment rod to make sure that this thing is straight so that a bullet can go straight out of the rifle and through the suppressor baffles without hitting anything. That is something I learned, sadly, a long time ago when I blew up one of my suppressors and I used the wrong kind of alignment rod. So I now have a 45 caliber alignment rod, and I tested that in this gun, and it seems to be aligned okay. Okay, well, our alignment seems to be doing well. Let's just keep shooting a little bit more. And all those just fine. Seems to be running pretty well. It's a lot of fun. Okay, while I mentioned it earlier, I just want to dive into just a little bit more of the mounting system that I got going on here. So the Ruger LC Carbine has a .578 28 muzzle device or threaded barrel. That means you have to find a .758 by 28 adapter to connect your suppressor with it. That's just the thread pitch on the end of it. So you kind of match the numbers of what type of muzzle device is going to fit directly with your suppressor. Now, there are quite a few direct mounts. That means you screw one end cap onto the suppressor, and then you screw that directly onto the end of your firearm. And I have had that on before, and I have some of those. But what I really prefer to do is have an adapter system. And so what I've really taken a liking to recently is the Rearden Plan B. And it may have been even made by Q originally with their cherry bomb muzzle device adapter, but Rearden took this, and it's quite a bit cheaper typically. And the benefit of that is you can swap this suppressor to your 308, to your 5.56, to your, 10 millimeter FPC, for example. You can do that. You can move it around as long as you have the right brake or muzzle brake or flash hider adapter on the end of your barrel. So I had a hard time finding this. The .578 is actually a pistol caliber mount. And so most of the time when you're running a pistol, you need to run a Nelson device that has a spring inside of it that delays the action of the slide so that it gives it time, because there's increased pressure from the suppressor. It causes the slide to go back too far, but a little bit of spring in there allows it to slow it down just a little bit so it can cycle properly when you are adding a suppressor onto the end of a pistol. Well, they chose those same thread pitches for this Ruger LC Carbine rifle, thinking because, hey, it's 45 ACP, that's a pistol caliber, maybe you'll want to do that. Now, there are ways to convert your Nelson device into a fixed device. There are fixed things that can replace out that spring, so that may be one way that you like attaching to the threads of this barrel. For me, I have a rifle can that's in 45 ACP, that's my Dead Air Primal, and I wanted to use it as I use it on other rifles. So I really wanted a muzzle brake or flash hider, one of the two, on this the end, so that I could just easily use that adapter to swap the suppressor quickly and easily between rifles without getting or worrying about thread lockup and having to have a vise out at the range, so on and so forth. So I searched high and low. Eventually I found Q, back to them, has the cherry bomb in .578 by 28. So that if you are trying to run a Plan B from Rearden, from Q, suppressor adapter, then you can get that cherry bomb .578. I tried so many others. There are .578 adapters, but they only go up to a bore diameter of .375 or .40. The 45 ACP has a diameter of .45. So if you put one of those on here, which I almost did, or at least I bought one thinking to do it before checking the bore diameter, you're going to blow your suppressor up, just like I already did with, in fact, this Primal has already been blown up. This is a repaired Primal from Dead Air. So, you just have to be super careful on that, what the bore diameter is. And in fact, a company that rhymes with Schmockdix Lanet had some of their muzzle devices labeled as .5 bore diameter, and in fact they were .4 diameter, so they weren't what we needed to mount this suppressor. So with that all said, I think I found the magic combination. I'm excited that this seems to be working, and I just wanted to relay that information to you. I think that is important. If you have a Ruger LC Carbine in 45 ACP and you're looking how to mount it more permanently for a suppressor in a configurable way with a muzzle brake or flash hider, get the cherry bomb. They have one in .578 by 24. That's my recommendation here in the year 2025. All right, let's get back to shooting. I've got some other rounds that I want to test. I want to test some 460 Rowland. I want to test some 45 Super, and I've got some more 45 Auto to test in this, just to give us kind of a look at how, as the power increases in the 45 caliber gun, how it shoots out of this rifle. We've got a little bit of a test going. So we've got some Aguila 45 ACP. Then we have some Underwood 45 Super Plus, or 45 Super Plus B. 45 Super, that's a 255 grain projectile. It's supposed to be going 1075. Then we have a 460 Rowland 255 grain. That's supposed to be going 1300. We'll see what it's doing. We'll also see when we get to the last two rounds of whether or not that 460 Rowland runs. Generally speaking, the nickel-plated Underwood rounds seem to extract, versus I get into trouble when I run the ammo from 460 Rowland or even buffalo bore on it. It's just a little too spicy with the brass cases. So again, we'll see how this runs. And the first two are 45 ACP. And 791. 833. Again, a little bit spicier. 1233 from the 45 Super, so that's about 200 feet more than they said it would be. Again, shooting out of that barrel. So 1232 out of the 45 Super, that's pretty good. And then we got the 460 Rowland here at 1385 and 1381 that ran that pretty good. Now we see a nice kind of scale up going from 700 in a traditional 45 ACP. Traditional, this Aguila is probably weak, especially coming out of a 16-inch barrel, but it's still there. And then all the way up to 1381. Let's just take a quick look what the kinetic energy foot-pounds would be at, and that's about 1,000 kinetic energy. That's not bad coming out of this Ruger. Now, is that a wise thing to suppress? No. The 45 Super or the 460 Rowland in these loadings are not great to suppress because they're supersonic. They're going above the speed of sound, so you get that big crack that you're going to see when it breaks the sound barrier, the pressure kind of bursting as you're sending those sound waves crashing. So with that said, I'm pretty excited that it's all working. Okay, well, why don't we wrap things up today? So today we had the Ruger LC Carbine and 45 ACP out to the range. It is also chambered in 460 Rowland. We tested it for function with 45 ACP yet again, because at this time I really got to sanding. I started out with 300 grit, some paste, and then went all the way up to 80,000 grit to get a nice polish on the inside of that chamber, starting to look a lot better. I wanted to test it for function, and then I wanted to test and see if my mounting system is going to work. I talked about using the Cherry Bomb 0.578 by 28 muzzle brake on it, and then we mounted our Dead Air Primal using a Rearden Plan B adapter to get that suppressor loaded up onto the rifle. See, everything seemed to work suppressed. We also then looked at scaling up from 45 ACP to 45 Super to 460 Rowland. Everything seemed to run great. We're not getting the 1,500 energy foot-pounds that I've got in some of the other loadings, but those didn't seem to work either. But we're getting up over 1,000 with some pretty big loads. I've gotten to 1,000 foot-pounds in my Smith & Wesson FPC and 10 millimeter, but I also haven't done it with a 255 grain hard cast that's going to have some momentum behind it. So I want to know what you guys think, and I'd like to hear about it in the comments below. I think this rifle is starting to come together. I'm starting to really enjoy it. I'm really glad of my journey. I tried a lot of adapters, by the way, to get this suppressor on. Wasted a ton of money on them, but I'm super glad to get it working suppressed and seeing it perform like this. So let me know what you guys think in the comment sections below. I hope everyone has a great week, and let's get to shooting.
Out here in the heartland, where our spirits run free, trigger bar philosopher, it's you and me. From pistols to rifles, we'll take on the best, reviewing each weapon, put them to the test. With revolvers and shotguns, we'll break it all down. The Second Amendment protects from the